So PCOS, right? PCOS is a common condition now that's affecting approximately 10 to 25% of all women. And unfortunately, it goes both undiagnosed and untreated. So I have one of the world's top-notch doctor, MD today, right? Dr. Felice Gersh. She has written a book on PCOS. She's a functional medicine doctor. She's MD in LA, and she's going to talk about how diet and other functional medicine things can help with PCOS. So hang on for 1 second, and she should be joining me in few seconds. And I just want to say that Dr. Felice, who's from LA, she also had PCOS herself. And what she did is she used holistic treatments to basically help herself, right? And she's MD, and she's written an amazing book. So hang on for 1 second, and she's joining me in 1 second. All right, she should be here. And if you have any questions, comments, you are welcome to give the feedback. Hello, Dr. Felice. How are you?
Hi, I figured it out. Yay. So glad to be here.
Great to have you. And I was telling our viewers, I was reading on your blog. I mean, you've done such amazing work on PCOS and how you also had PCOS yourself. And the book that you've written, the clinic that you have in LA. So everyone, this is Dr. Felice, MD. She has written a book on PCOS, and she has a clinic specifically focused on PCOS. Anything else you'd like to add, Dr. Felice, before we get going?
Well, I think you've really made it very clear that I am passionate about helping women with PCOS. It's the most common endocrine disorder of women, the most common cause of infertility, and yet it's so underdiagnosed, undertreated, ignored. I'm here to try to make a difference.
Thank you. So tell us, just educate us. What happens? Why do women get PCOS to begin with?
Well, there's a genetic predisposition, that's for sure. We know that women who have PCOS have a 50-50 chance of having children or siblings, sisters with PCOS. And even their moms, if they don't have PCOS, have a significantly increased risk of developing diabetes because there's a lot of insulin resistance associated. So there is that predisposition, but our environment is what really causes it to manifest so prolifically and so severely. We live in a world that we are inundated with endocrine disruptors, chemicals that mimic estrogen and other hormones that when they get into our system, when we're during the developmental stages, like in utero, when we're a fetus, or during critical stages like infancy and around adolescence and puberty, that these endocrine disruptors can disrupt the way our feedback systems and our hormones work. And as well, we live in a world of chemical food, right? We
Yes.
have the most bizarre things that are put in food. I always wonder, like, who thought it was a good idea to put all this bizarre stuff in our food? I mean, it's mind-boggling. And so we now know that women with PCOS have abnormal gut microbiomes. And so we have this problem with hormone signaling, particularly involving estrogen, but as well with other hormones. And we have a dysbiotic gut and abnormal gut microbiome. It really is like the perfect storm for creating hormonal havoc in women with PCOS. And we know that hormones are not about reproduction, the sex hormones. Like, it's really about setting the stage for having an entirely healthy body so that a woman can reproductively be successful. So that's so many systems are affected by PCOS, and there are so many metabolic issues as well as reproductive issues.
Oh my God. And I was talking to someone the other day, and my grandmother had 9 kids. One of my grandmothers has 9 kids, and then the other one had 5 kids. And now, infertility has become so rampant amongst women, and to all the reasons that you're talking about.
Oh my goodness, yes. Of course, this is a problem that's throughout society. I mean, in terms of males, because of the prolific endocrine disruptors, the chemicals everywhere, male sperm counts have plummeted, and females their egg quality. So it's so much more than just having a cycle. Women with PCOS often don't have cycles. You can't make a baby if you don't even ovulate. But even when ovulation occurs, so often the egg quality is poor. The embryos don't implant properly. I mean, the systems involving the and surrounding conception are quite astounding and amazingly complex. And that's why I think of every live, healthy baby as a miracle. But now these miracles are getting harder to achieve. And absolutely, we're seeing infertility astronomically rising. And instead of thinking like the conventional medical world, like what the heck is going on? It's just, let's put up more fertility centers. It's like, more big bucks coming in for IVF. And, of course, women who need it should have whatever they need to access to become, a mom. But my goodness, we shouldn't have to have so many issues involved in just having a baby. It's like the most natural thing that should exist is reproducing, right? That's like the prime directive of life, is to create new life. And now it's become such a struggle. And so I see marriages just falling apart, emotions just completely through the roof because of this problem of creating a baby and having a family.
Yeah, no, and that goes beyond, right? ADD, ADHD, autism, so many things. I mean, this is just not one thing. It's just a vicious cycle, right? Starting on all the way.
Well, we know the environment within the uterus, that the fetus is, exposed to, will actually set the stage for the health of that child. You only have one chance to make a brain. You can't let's do a redo, No, you can't. Yes. And the brain has all these synapses. They need to be pruned. You need to have the right hormone, immune system. And now we have abnormal environments within the mom. We know that like a heartbreaker. There was a study recently that came out showing that in so-called healthy newborns, so these are babies that look perfect and everything seems, when they check their gut microbiome, they're finding that they're missing key microbes that are involved in digesting oligosaccharides. So these are the resistant starch that's actually put into breast milk in order to nurture and feed the evolving microbiome of the gut in the newborn. And they're lacking this really critical microbe. So we know that they're not going to be able to develop a normal, robust, varied microbiome because their microbes are starving. They're not getting the right food because they can't digest it. So it's not just what you eat, it's how you make it. Now, this is like another whole interesting world.
Yes.
So many people think I'm going to eat pomegranates because pomegranates have all of these polyphenols. And, that's great. But the problem is if you don't have the right gut microbes, then you don't metabolize it into the end product. Like you get, you get the polyphenol from, but in order to get the ultimate urolithin A, you get the ultimate active product, you need to have the right microbes. We know that many people don't have the right microbes now, so that they can't process healthy organic soy in, the isoflavones into the proper end product equal. So you can eat all this wonderful healthy food, but you're not getting all the benefits. You're getting some, but you're not getting all of it because you don't have the right microbes. And to get the right microbes, you need to have the right environment. In utero, you need to have the mom right breast milk. She actually needs to breastfeed. Then you need to have the right form of birth, preferably vaginal delivery. And now we have so many C-sections, and then you have to keep the chemicals out of the food for the child, and they need to have real food and vegetables and not all this chemical processed food. So you can see why it just evolves into this chaotic state of multitudes of health symptoms, and we have a conventional medical world that just gives drugs to try to suppress symptoms, whereas the underlying entire status of the body with the microbes and the hormone systems, they're all falling apart here. And, so we need to understand, so one of the things that I always emphasize, we can never solve a problem if we don't define it and try to understand it. So deny everything. How are we ever going to the deniers? No, we cannot be in a world of la la world. We have to be honest about what's happening to the human race, and of course all animals on this planet, and so that we can take steps, effective steps now. And PCOS, I call that the poster child that incorporates everything that we're talking about, everything, the epigenetic modification, the hormonal imbalances, the endocrine disruptors, the gut dysbiosis, the nutrient deficiencies, it's all in this one woman who has PCOS. But we can, even people who don't have PCOS, there's so much we can learn. And for have PCOS, there's really so much we can do, that isn't being done by the conventional medical world, because they don't even understand that food is medicine. Just that much of a basic, premise. They don't understand. I have patients that come in and they say their doctor said it doesn't matter what you eat. And it's like, it doesn't matter.
But that's why we have people, MDs like you. And what is so strange is that here we are in technology point of view. We're talking about augmented reality. We're talking about artificial intelligence. And startups are coming, I'm going to look at your, all kind of clothes and sensors and all these things, right? And look at all this, what's happening. Basic things, like you said.
That's right. And then, as we know, women need to eat according to our circadian rhythm, and that has gone window too. So it is, of course, what you eat, and it's also when you eat. And women with PCOS have circadian rhythm problems, we now know. So basically, they live a life of jet lag. And we know a lot about what happens when you cross timelines and time zones all the time. You have metabolic dysfunction, you have obesity, insulin resistance problems, mood problems, fertility problems, cycle irregularity. We work at night, like nurses who work like 12-hour shifts 3 nights a week. They'll work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. like 3 nights a week. That's really common. I have a lot of nurses as patients. They are so messed up, and then I have all these flight attendants, they're jumping, they're not, even the ones that kept working through COVID, they're jumping all over the planet, and they are crossing time zones. I have CEOs, and they're always like, now they're doing more Zoom, but they would be jumping across the US, and then also to Europe and Asia. And they were wondering what's wrong with me? Why am I gaining weight? Why am I depressed? Why am I so tired? And it's because you are jet lagged, Well, women with PCOS live a life of jet lag. So we need to work with that, so that they can have more cohesive synergy among their organ systems. So the liver is on the same time zone as the brain, and, the pancreas is on the same time zone as the intestines, and so on.
That's really scary. So what is I know you've written a book on PCOS, and you have a clinic that's focused on PCOS. So maybe you can just give framework. This is not a medical advice, everyone. We have Dr. Felice. She is the world-renowned author on PCOS. So this is gold today. This is gold.
Well, in my book, I said very clearly in my book, PCOS SOS. I also have another one that's PCOS SOS Fertility Fast Track for women who really are gung-ho to try to get pregnant in a short period of time and want to be optimally healthy and optimally fertile. But my foundational book, the PCOS SOS, lays out a 7-step program that incorporates, and it's very easy to understand and follow, but it has hundreds of references. And I lay out that, how important what you eat is. And I talk about what you should eat. And I talk about when you should eat, about time restricted eating, about how you're most insulin sensitive and do better if you eat more of your food in the morning. And I say, for example, you're going to eat dessert, it with breakfast, and think out of the box. Think of dinner food for breakfast. Don't think of conventional breakfast foods. Most of that is going to really be very unhealthy. You want to eat nutrient-dense foods and lots of plant-based foods because of the magic, the polyphenols, that we hopefully have good gut microbiomes, and you have to work to nurture your gut microbiome. with a really adequate intake of healthy fibers. So, and then I talk about how to help women get back their circadian rhythm using light boxes, sunlight, so on. Sleep hygiene, making sure you get to sleep at the right time, utilize doses of melatonin and so forth. And of course, fitness is so important. And I talk about that and about avoiding endocrine disruptors, how to clean up your act, so that you can use chemically friendly or avoidance of toxic things. Certainly know that everything you put on your skin does get absorbed, so I go through all of those things, and I talk about key supplements that are very, very beneficial, and everything, like I said, is citation, footnoted, and evidence-based medicine. So, and then of course I talk about stress management. So stress always a key thing. So basically, I just go step by step all the things that women with PCOS should do to optimize their health and their happiness and their futures. And of course, what I'm doing is all lifestyle medicine in a book, because I'm obviously going to be prescribing pharmaceuticals. This is like a self-help book, right? So it's all lifestyle advice. So like I said, PCOS is like the poster child combining when metabolic and reproductive systems go offline and you have all problems. But the advice really serves anyone, because it's all, very good advice for everyone who lives on planet Earth, so it's basically you could modify the supplements. The supplements are specific to PCOS in large measure, but the lifestyle advice, like, what you should eat, how you should do time restricted eating, sleep hygiene tricks, optimizing fitness and reducing endocrine disruptors and controlling stress. All of that is foundational for health for everyone.
And I know you mentioned that you also had PCOS when you were younger, and so you applied all these principles, all the framework to yourself as well, and was able to recover?
Well, PCOS is not a cure. We don't have a cure, but we have control. But we have, because it's sort of in our genetics. But let's put it this way. It can be controlled to the point that it's invisible for many women. So in other words, if you go back to the bad lifestyle choices, it could come back, So, it's kind of like someone who had a drug addiction and they never use drugs. You never say you're 100% cured, because you have the potential to go back. So us will always have the genetic underlying factors, but actually I love to tell women that it's an advantage. The fact that you genetically have more of a predisposition towards PCOS means that you, in ancient times, actually were among the leaders of the tribe, because women with PCOS have this little inborn issue where they don't effectively convert testosterone into estrogen in their ovaries quite as powerfully and effectively as other women, but they did it perfectly enough to be fertile, have kids and all, but maybe they were slightly less fertile, but just a little bit. Like maybe instead of having 8 kids, they had 4 or 5. I mean, plenty of kids, but it actually an advantage for survival, because every time you went through childbirth, you risk dying. Go back 3,000 years ago, childbirth was pretty darn dangerous. And also every time you had a new child, you had to, it drained you of your own nutrients. Those little babies are such suckers of our calcium and our iron and everything. So, it was harder to get repleted again after each childbirth because of, the babies taking your nutrients and so on. So it was actually healthier for the mom to have fewer children. She could also watch them better, take care of them better. And had that little bit of extra testosterone, just a little bit. It actually makes sense on this. It made her a little bolder, braver, more outspoken, less timid. And in fact, they did a study of women who were the Olympic gold medalists, and they found a very significant percentage actually had the tendency towards PCOS. So maybe they had a little higher level of testosterone than the average woman, but it just gave them that edge to make more muscle, more bone, be stronger, and more dominant. Not just like outspoken, so that we had that little bit of healthy aggression, just so that we wouldn't like take, like we're not like, that's how I feel, like I'm not going to be a pushover, like on my mind, right? No, but that's what we want. We want women not to feel that they have to cower in the corner or be dominated. No, we are our own destiny. We can speak out. We care and take charge. And that's really the women with PCOS. So we just need to get back to our roots and really, accept that we have this little genetic thing, which actually is a plus when you take away the endocrine disruptors and the crappy food, so, and we can thrive in this environment. We just have to work harder than the average woman.
Amazing information. I mean, words of gold and wisdom, and everyone who's watching. I mean, if you have any comments, feedback, I hope we can offer your programs. This is so amazing information that you're talking about, and simple things, right? You're talking about simple things like endocrine disruptors and eating a nutrient-dense food and reducing stress. I mean, just on a very high level, right? And anything else you'd like to add to summarize this session today?
Well, I can tell women out there that most all women with PCOS can regain their cycles, their fertility, their happiness, their energy. Occasionally, I have to use pharmaceuticals as a bridge, just short term, I long term, maybe very short term, but for the majority, just doing the lifestyle changes can actually be life-changing. So a few lifestyle changes and you get, like, you're derailed, you're back on track.
Beautiful. All right. With that, we'd like to wrap up this session. Anyone has any feedback or comments or questions, we could take, I know a lot of people have signed on and they're listening. So maybe it's too much information for you to kind of absorb and digest, because for me, it is a lot and amazing information that all of us. All right. Someone says my cortisol levels are on the roof. What could be a good treatment? Well, we are not treating anyone here, but if you want to comment on the high levels of cortisols.
Well, cortisol is a life-saving hormone. However, it's like the stress hormone. When you have a lot of stress, your cortisol will rise and it triggers the inflammatory response that is life-saving. The problem is if you have chronic stress, then you're chronically going to have elevated cortisol, which will keep you in that inflammatory state. So inflammation helps to deal with trauma, infections, and so on, but it's not meant to be constant, in a stressed out person. So emotions are key for everyone, PCOS or not. And know that if you have chronically high cortisol, it causes breakdown. So cortisol is a catabolic hormone. It causes breakdown, whereas other hormones like DHEA is an anabolic. It causes the body to build up. Everything is that balance between breakdown, build up, sleep, active, everything is balanced. And, you get imbalanced if you're chronically stressed. Then your body goes into a chronic state of inflammation and breakdown. So without knowing any individual person, you can never go wrong by following all of the lifestyle methods. And if you have like emotional issues, trauma, so many women have suffered emotional trauma, sexual traumas, and so on, then you need to get proper therapy. Mind-body medicine is real medicine. I advocate for guided imagery, guided meditations, meditation, breath work. All of these things can really help, because a lot of women, by the way, with PCOS have an upregulated sympathetic portion of their autonomic nervous system. They're naturally in a stressed out state. And that can all be helped with various forms of mind-body medicine, different forms of therapy and exercise. But if you're also stressed out because you're eating crappy food, you're not getting enough sleep, and so on, you have to do the whole lifestyle thing. So think of this as a red flag that you need to do a total life inventory of what the heck is going on, and then get proper help and make the changes you need to make so that you can be healthier.
Sure. We have a couple of more questions coming. You have time? You can take some questions? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So testing, someone asked a question on, is there a testing for PCOS? And
yes,
yes.
there are definitely. I love lab. It gives me so much information. It's non-invasive. So women with PCOS, they actually have a category that doesn't have elevated androgens, but that's like an outlier. So the vast majority of women with PCOS will have too much of the male type hormone, like testosterone, and also from the adrenal gland, DHEAS. So those have to be tested, as well. You can do menstrual mapping where you look at see like what their hormones are like through a cycle. Estrogen levels actually tend to be on the lower side, and there's a FSH is an LH, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone. Those are pituitary hormones that tend to be in a certain abnormal ratio in women with PCOS that need to be tested. As well, many women with PCOS have Hashimoto's thyroiditis and thyroid issues, so all of that needs to be tested. Inflammation markers with PCOS tend to be chronically in a state of low-level inflammation. There's a whole array of inflammation markers that can be tested, and nutrients. So many women with PCOS will have low levels of omega-3 and B12 and magnesium and zinc and so on. So all nutrients can be tested, and lipids. Women with PCOS tend to have elevated cholesterol, triglycerides, metabolic markers like for insulin resistance, hemoglobin, fasting blood sugars, and more. And I lay out a lot of this in my book, but absolutely there's a whole array of laboratory testing. I have a philosophy: you cannot monitor what you never. So we can actually monitor progress both clinically and also through lab testing.
So where can people find buy your book? On Amazon? Someone asked that question.
Yeah, elsewhere, but most people go to Amazon.
Amazon. Okay, so yeah, if someone asked this question, so you can go to Amazon and look for Dr. Felice's book, and I think it's an amazing resource for all of you, for anyone who wants to learn more about how to control your PCOS. Okay, I saw other questions and they kind of flew away because there was too much going on. So any other comments anyone has? I'm sorry if I missed your question here, but any other comments anyone has before we wrap up today?
And I just wanted to mention that I also have started my own little Instagram live show, but I doesn't that time. But if you follow me on Instagram, so my Instagram handle is Dr. Felice Gersh, FeliceGersh. So Dr. With the period in Felice Gersh, and I try to get information out as well. And I have to have you. I'm going to start doing interviews, and I have you on my show.
Absolutely, and we would love to offer your programs. So this is our collaboration and telling the community that lifestyle medicine, mind-body medicine, whatever you want to call it, functional medicine, all that works. So all right, so with that, we would like to wrap up this session. Thank you so much. Okay, some other information. Can you share information, resources on histamine intolerances and PCOS?
Well, women with PCOS often have a lot of related problems with their immune system. So the immune system is a very complex, system in the body. There's two basic arms. There's the innate adaptive, there's Th1, there's Th2, and Th1 goes down the path to like autoimmunity, which many PCOS develop, and the Th2 is towards the path of histamine intolerance and allergies. So all of these are just regulations of one immune system under one umbrella. Okay. And best ways to start is healing the gut. So because the immune system resides around the gut, if you can work with eating like a plant-based diet, working stress, because the immune system is activated when you have stress, all of those things will help a lot with histamine intolerance.
Okay, so someone is asking about, I think they're getting married and they're trying to do the bridal registry. So congratulations. And they're trying to figure out the endocrine disruptors. Is there, I think EWG, I don't know, is there a place where they can
Oh,
find? Yeah?
definitely. That's always a great place to start.
Okay.
And so start with the environmental working group. That is a great place to start. They rate products. That's like for product rating, that's probably the gold standard.
Okay. All right. Any other feedback? I just want to make sure I'm taking everyone's questions. Okay. We are going to wrap up then. Thank you so much for everyone. Please give us the feedback. Please share these sessions. Help us support. What book would you recommend for starting a healthy diet? Oh my God. All right, Dr. Felice. Maybe Dr. Felice book. I don't know. I'm just kidding, but go ahead.
Well, I hope so. Yes. So many wonderful books out there, but what I would recommend is, if you're just getting started, get books on how to cook with vegetables. So many people have no clue. Like, I go through like an array of vegetables and they say they've never tried them, they've never tasted them. So just start out, put your toe in the water and get some recipes for vegetables and spices, right? So
Yes.
I mean, when you look at the polyphenol array in spices and you look across the colors of the rainbow, every plant that has a different color has a different array of polyphenols. So just try to start out. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just start out by trying all different kinds of vegetables, fruits. I always I have a new motto. It's like, don't be afraid of fruit. So many people think fruit is like processed candy bars. No, it's not. So try different fruits, be adventurous, try different recipes and spices, and try not to snack all day long. I mean, that's like the most simple thing to start out is try to not eat more than 3 times a day, have a plant focused diet and try to eat across the colors of the rainbow, try new things. Don't just eat the same 2 things, like carrots and broccoli. They're both good, but they're not enough, necessary, but not sufficient. So, start out. And of course, I'm going to promote and plug my own book, but, there's like many out there, but, but even without a book, just try eating real food. I say, organic, farm to table, and try eating diversity foods, different foods. Diversity of diet leads to diversity of gut microbiome. That's the ticket to restoration of health.
Yes, I think beautifully said. And I never used to cook before, but now I cook every day. It doesn't take that much time if you use Instapot. I think Instapot has revolutionized all of the cooking, So someone is saying, thank you, Nourish Talk, for your programs. Absolutely, you're welcome. Well, finally, I'm going to wrap up now. Hopefully, there are no more questions. Anytime I say a wrap up and then the question pops up, and I just want to make sure we, take your questions. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Felice, for being with us. Thank you, everyone else. And let us know how we are doing. Give us your feedback. We want to bring these kind of programs to you every single day. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, Dr. Felice.
Same.
Bye-bye.